Huma Abedin seemed to have it all. She was a top aide to Hillary Clinton and the wife of a brash New York congressman. Then came the tabloid sex scandal. Nora O'Donnell is in conversation with Huma Abedin.
This is your first television interview.
Yes,
You've never done an interview like this before.
that's correct.
Why are you speaking out now?
Well, I think for most of my adult life, certainly the last 25 years that I've been in public service or in the public eye, I have been the invisible person behind the primary people in my life. But what I realize is that if you don't tell your story, somebody else is writing your history.
Huma Abedin's story is as unlikely as it is extraordinary. From the pinnacles of power as a top aide to Hillary Clinton to the depths of public scandal as the wife of disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner.
You were born in America.
I was.
You were raised in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Her new book is called Both And, published by Scribner, part of Viacom CBS. Abedin writes about a life lived in many worlds, a young girl raised in a sheltered Muslim environment who traveled the globe, her mother from Pakistan, her father from India, both professors, both Fulbright scholars.
We spent our entire childhood traveling to different countries and cultures and languages, and my father's entire perspective on the world was exploring the other.
Abedin studied at the George Washington University.
So you're an intern your senior year, and then 3 weeks before you graduate, they offer you a job.
They offer me a job.
That internship and the job was in the Clinton White House.
I would walk and then just stare through those gates and look at that house.
And think what?
I can't believe I'm here.
She became an aide to Hillary Clinton, eventually her chief of staff, and it turned into a 25-year career. Abedin was by Hillary Clinton's side when she was First Lady, U.S. Senator, Secretary of State, and presidential candidate.
So if Hillary Clinton were here and I would ask her what does she most value about Huma Abedin, what do you think she would say?
I think she would say her loyalty. And I would say the same about her. I have tested that. Not intentionally, but I have tested it.
How?
Well, I've made her life difficult with things that have happened in my personal life.
When you first met Anthony Weiner, what did you know about him?
I knew that he was on the New York congressional delegation. He was, kind of considered this outspoken, outgoing, eligible bachelor on the Hill, but I knew actually very little.
In 2007, Abedin started dating Representative Anthony Weiner, writing that after their first kiss, her head started spinning and didn't stop. It was her first serious relationship. As they began discussing marriage, he made a startling confession, and she made a startling discovery.
That same night that he says to you, I'm broken, I need you to fix me, you also pick up his BlackBerry.
Yes.
And what did you find?
I found a text from a woman, a very flirtatious text from a stranger. I was shocked. And I showed it to him right away and said, what is this? Can you explain this to me? And he did. He was a public personality and that people communicated with him all the time.
But you write in hindsight it was a warning sign.
In hindsight, it was a warning sign.
Still, they were married in 2010, officiating at the wedding none other than former President Bill Clinton.
Just on that note about the wedding, you're Muslim, Anthony's Jewish, and Bill Clinton makes a joke. And says what?
If every wedding is a wonder, then this one's a miracle.
Less than a year later, Abedin was pregnant, and then the first of many shocks. That same month, May of 2011, Weiner's Twitter feed showed a picture he apparently posted of him in his underwear.
And he lies to you about it.
He does.
And he lies about it in multiple interviews.
He does.
Did I send the photograph? I did not. This was a prank, a hoax.
And then he tells you the truth.
Yes.
The truth turned out to be that Weiner meant to send the photo to a woman, but mistakenly sent it to his tens of thousands of Twitter followers.
I'm going to try to be a better husband, too.
Weiner resigned from Congress and entered therapy, sometimes with Abedin. Their son Jordan was born. The tabloids left no Weiner pun unwritten.
You go from being behind the scenes to someone who's on the front pages of newspapers here in New York City. What did it mean losing your anonymity?
I liked my anonymity.
a lot. I don't read anything about myself. I never did.
But Weiner didn't think his political career was over.
But I've also learned some tough lessons.
He decided to run for mayor of New York and got off to a good start.
He was in the lead.
He was in the lead.
Anthony Weiner could have been the mayor of New York City.
I have to concede, of all the things, I have many things to say about Anthony, but I have always believed that he is somebody who loves his city and he's got brilliant ideas.
And paying for it by asking millionaires to pay a bit more.
Just when you think that the surprises are over, it comes out that your husband is texting again,
Yes.
using the alias Carlos Danger with a woman whose name is Sydney Leathers, sending her explicit photos. What happens to your world?
Well, my world exploded again in the most unexpected, shocking, humiliating, horrible way. We crossed a threshold. It was just surviving at that point.
But while rarely appearing on the campaign trail, Abedin did speak at a press conference.
I have forgiven him. I believe in him.
The now infamous press conference,
Yeah.
and you're by his side.
I made the decision. That was a decision I made for me, for our son, and for our family.
Were you okay?
Yes. Everyone was calling me and saying, people who loved me were calling me and saying, don't do this.
Hillary didn't want you to do it.
I think if I had talked to Hillary or my mother or anybody in my family, they would have advised me against doing it.
But you purposely didn't take their calls.
I didn't take their calls.
There was a campaign videographer
Yeah.
It's like having a nightmare.
who was there at a lot of moments during the campaign. It later became a documentary.
Can we get a clip up of Huma standing alongside? There is a victim of spousal abuse.
You look miserable throughout that campaign.
So I have not watched that documentary. I don't think I ever will.
You look sad. You almost look a bit in shock throughout it.
In hindsight, I was still in a tremendous amount of trauma.
Weiner was trounced, coming in last place in the mayoral primary.
We were just two severely broken, traumatized people. I couldn't see that he was completely disintegrating. And we just went into our corners.
So I want you to explain that, because I do think that context is important, because you're a busy working mom. Because people will ask, and because you've just said that you crossed a threshold,
Yeah.
but you stayed with him. Why?
I think in part it was a financial decision. In part it was, we moved into a duplex and Anthony took one floor and I took another. And we were very concerned about our son and having a stable routine for him.
It really took a toll on your mental health.
It did.
You write that for a brief second you contemplated walking off the subway platform.
Well, one of the best things I've had in my life is my faith and the belief that there is always a way through.
Abedin reveals that she later found evidence that Weiner's affairs were apparently not just online. She discovered an old phone of his.
I found communications with women, and it was quite devastating.
I know it's hard for you to say it, but you found that he was having physical relationships in your apartment.
Yes.
It seems like just betrayal after betrayal after betrayal.
It was that moment that I realized the way I had been handling my response to him was not working.
By 2016, Anthony Weiner and Huma Abedin were officially separated. A month after Hillary Clinton became the Democratic nominee for president, yet another bombshell. This picture of Weiner in bed with their young son was leaked. That triggered an investigation by Child Protective Services.
They're showing up at your apartment all the time, checking on the well-being of your son. Were you worried you would lose your son?
Yes. Ask any parent what it feels like that somebody is judging whether you're a fit parent and whether you can keep your child. It's hard to put in words.
A few weeks later, Abedin's two lives truly came crashing together. Weiner was caught sexting with an underage girl, and FBI agents found emails involving Hillary Clinton on his laptop.
Any reaction to the FBI investigation?
Just 11 days before the election, FBI Director James Comey announced he was reopening an investigation into Clinton's emails. He would finally close the probe 2 days before Election Day, but many considered the damage had been done.
You write, this man Weiner was going to ruin me, and now he was going to jeopardize Hillary Clinton's chances of winning the presidency. And then you write, you called Anthony Weiner and you said what?
Anthony, I said, wanting to shake him through the phone, if she loses this election, it will be because of you and me. That night, I wrote one line in my notebook. I do not know how I am going to survive this. Help me, God. Yeah.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton.
It all ended, of course, with Hillary Clinton losing to Donald Trump. The debate over what caused her defeat, however, has never ended.
Hillary Clinton could be in her second term as president right now.
That is a thought that crosses my mind probably more than it crosses hers. That is something that lives here that I think I'm going to take to my grave.
When you say take it to your grave, do you mean because you think about something you could have done to help fix the situation, make it better, because you're kind of in that fix-it role?
I have reconciled, and it took me a while to reconcile that it was not all my fault. I lived with that. I did. I don't believe that anymore. It's more a sense of an ache in the heart, that it didn't have to be. And also my belief that she would have been an extraordinary president. I mean, she really would have, and what it meant for women and girls, not just in this country, but around the world.
5 years later, Huma Abedin is still at Hillary Clinton's side. Here she is when Bill Clinton was hospitalized a couple of weeks ago. Anthony Weiner served 18 months in prison after pleading guilty to transferring obscene material to a minor. Abedin and Weiner are finally finalizing their divorce. They still see each other as they raise their son, who is now 9 years old.
What's your relationship like now with Anthony Weiner?
We're good. He is my co-parent, and I learned the full truth. I processed it and moved on, and I wish him well. He, I hope, wishes me well. I think he does.
You're not angry with him?
I can't live in that space anymore. I tried that. It almost killed me.